Okay, you can see something different on the desk, different from what we have before. But don't be troubled. Let not your heart be troubled. Just calm down, and you will know what this is all about. All these, what they are called. Like these are all different spanners also. They are also spanners, but these ones we call them sockets. Sockets. There are some bolts and nuts that when you are using a flat or a ring to loosen or tighten them, it tends to worn out on the hexagonal head or the star head. Why? Because those ones, they can't grip so well, and with the help of these ones, just as their faces are different so are their works. Like this one, you can see the shape of this one. You see the shape, you see the shape, you can see this is their head. You can see, you can see, you can see. At least this one will tell you boldly how it is. With this one, you can loosen a bolt or a nut firmly, very well, without having any much of an issue. The next one we have here, you can see, before I begin to tell you what their names are, you can see the shape of their heads. You can see they are all sockets, but there are different types of sockets. I will explain. You can see this one, they are all sockets, and there are different types. At least bringing them closer, you see that they are not the same. Bringing them closer, you can see that they are not the same. Okay, they are not the same, but they are sockets. Okay, now let's go back to the introduction. This one here, it's a socket. It's a socket. It's a socket. You can see. But this one, during the course of this training, this is called 8. You can see written on it 8 millimeter. It's 8 millimeter socket. During the course of our training, we'll just call it 8 socket. When I say 8 socket, you should know what I'm talking about. 8 socket. But this particular one is called 8 black socket. 8 black. 8 black. Just follow me. Don't worry yourself about. Just follow me, so that you will not confuse yourself during the course of the training. Just what I call it, that's what you should call it because of this training. 8 black socket. 8 black socket. 8 black socket. 8 black socket. You can see. The next one we have here. The next one we have here, you can see written here 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter socket. 10 millimeter socket. You can see. This one, I'll call it 10 black socket. 10 black socket. 10 black socket. 10 black socket. The next one, you can see written on it is 12 millimeter. This one, we call it 12 black socket. 12 black socket. You can see 12 black socket. So when I mention 12 black socket, you should know what I'm talking about. You should know what I'm talking about. You should know what I'm talking about. Let's speak one language. let's have one tongue. Not when I say 12 black socket, you think I'm talking about something else. This is what I mean. This is called 12 black socket. The next one we have here is 13 millimeter socket. I also call this one 13 black socket. I will explain the black there. The black, when I show you the other ones, you will see the difference. Why I name this one black. Why I call this one black, I will explain. Just follow me. Just follow me. I know some of you know better than I do, but for the course of this training, let's just hold on to what we have here. 13 black socket. 13 black socket. 13 black socket. The next we have here, we have 14 black socket. 14 millimeter socket. I call this one 14 black socket. 14 black socket. You can see everything. There's nothing we will hide from you. Just follow us through and you will grab a whole lot. This one is not when we want to do something important, we'll cut off the video and do the magic and then show you show you the outcome. No, you will see everything, how it is being done. No magic here. You will even learn it and teach us also, because there is a part of it where your common sense, your common knowledge will have to come into play. This one is called 14 millimeter socket, which I call 14 black socket. You can see different shapes and sizes. The one we have here is 17. You can see written on it, 17 millimeter socket. 17 millimeter socket. You can see. Please just take note of this shape, the shape of the head. It's very important. Take note of the shape of the head. It is very important. That is one of the difference between this one and the other ones. You can see 17 black socket. 17 black socket. 17 black socket. Okay. The next one we have here is written 18 millimeter. 18 millimeter, which is also called 18 black socket. 18 black socket. 18 millimeter. 18 black socket. You can see. Nothing hidden. It's all here. 18 millimeter. I call it 18 black socket. Next one we have here is written 19 millimeter. 19 millimeter, also known as 19 black socket. 19 black socket. Okay. 19 black socket. 19 black socket. Okay. 19 black socket. The next one we have here have 22 millimeter, also known as 22 millimeter, 22 black socket. 22 millimeter socket, also known as 22 black socket. So you can see, with the knowledge of this one, you can name it from 8, the smallest, 7, the smallest, to 1,000. To 1,000. It's just for you to get the basics. This 22 millimeter, 22 black socket. Then the bigger boy. Wow. The bigger one. You can see here written 32 millimeter. 32 millimeter. Also known as 32 black socket. can see, big and heavy, weighty. 32 black socket. 32 black socket. 32 black socket. Okay, so all these ones, they are all similar. They are all similar. The next we have here, you can see this one. What's written here? This is 8 millimeter. 8 millimeter is still a socket. 8 millimeter socket. 8 millimeter socket. But during the course of this training, I will call it 8 white. 8 white. Let me show you the difference between the black and the one I called white. You can see. You can see. They are both 8. Huh? Are you seeing it? They are both 8. They are both 8. But this one here is the black. This one here is the white. But they are both 8. So I call this one here, this one, the white, 8 white. Why this one is called 8 black? Then look up now. Just take a look. You can see a difference here now. Their heads. This one looks more ringy, looks like a ring, more like a ring, while this one looks like a hexagon, hexagonal head. Oh, you see, this one is called the white, 8 white, while this one is called 8 black. This one is called 8 white. Look at it very well. 8 white, 8 white. Why this one is called 8 black. Okay, I think that one has sunk down. The next one we have here, you see written here, 10 millimeter socket. I call this 10 white socket. The work that this white does, the black can do it also, but one does it better than the other. Trust me. Trust me. They do the same work. The two of them they do the same losing, the same tightening, but one, you can see, can do it better than the other. This one, the white, it is very easy for the bolt and the nut to get one with this one. Trust me, from experience, it is easier for it to get one with this one. But with this one, which is the hexagonal head, it is very difficult. There are some bolts and nuts that the white may run on. It will not lose. It will worn out on. But with this one, a full grip, it will lose out. It will lose out. And this one is more stronger than this one. So they are all the same, but they do different work. They have different strength. So we are still on the white. This 10 millimeter white socket. 10 millimeter white socket. You can see. You can see. You can see. 10 white socket. During the course of this lesson, you will hear me say 10 white socket. Know that I'm talking about this. The next we have here, I believe you can call it out for me. What do we call this now? 12 millimeter white socket, which is also known as 12 white socket. 12 white socket. I believe some of you are naming it alongside with me now. Even before I call it, you see the number and you call the name out. Okay, that's to show that you can see how much you are improving. That's why I told you that there's a level that will teach you the basics, and with your common sense you pick up. You can even teach us also. Some of you are already calling out the names. So you can see 12 millimeter white, also known as 12 white socket. The next one we have here is, what do we call this? This is 13 millimeter white socket, also known as what? 13 white socket. 13 white socket. 13 white sockets. 13 white sockets. It all starts from the basics. This one, see, it's a little bit longer. There is a reason why this one is long. Why this one is long? This one is a white 14 millimeter white socket. 14 millimeter white socket. Okay, also known as 14 white socket. Long. You will hear me call long 14 white socket. You know that I'm talking about this long one. You know that I'm talking about this long one. You can see the difference between the short one. Although this one is 12, we don't have the short 14 here, but you can see. You see the difference between two of them. This one is short, this one is long. There are some things that that are long that you need to use this one to lose, that the short one can't do it for you. So that's why you need the long. Like this 14 now, it does so many things. It can not only lose bolt and nut, it can lose some plugs. Yeah, some of these new modern cars, they use 14 millimeter plugs. This 14 long can do the work. Why the 14 short can't do it? So this one, this long one, it does not only lose bolt and nut only, it is also used for losing 14 millimeter or 14 plug, 14 millimeter plug. You can see 14 socket white. You can see. Okay, believe we are learning. The next we have here is 15 millimeter plug socket. 15 millimeter white socket. 15 millimeter white socket, also known as 15 white socket. 15 white socket. This one is long. 15 long white socket. 15 long white socket, or long white 15 socket, whichever way you put it. But when you add the long, it differentiates it from the short, and when you add the white, it differentiates it from the black. So you can see here's the longer one. Why this one? It's called 16 millimeter white socket. 16 millimeter white socket. This one, just like the 14, it does not lose only bolt and nuts only. It also helps to lose 16 millimeter plug. Spark plug is what I'm talking about. 16 millimeter. There are majority of cars these days that uses 16 millimeter plugs. This socket does the work also. It's a long 16 does the work. The short 16 can't do it. With the help of this long one, being that it's long, can reach out to the plug and loosen it out. So it does not only lose only bolt and nut, but it also loses 16 millimeter plug. So we call this long white 16 socket. Long white 16 socket. Okay, next we have here is 17 millimeter white socket. 17 millimeter socket, also known as 17 long white socket, or long white 17 socket, or whichever way you want to put it. But when I mention, you know, when those words are there, you know what I'm talking about. 17 long white socket. It's not the black one, this is a white one. The next one we have here is what? 24 millimeter white socket. 24 millimeter white socket. You've seen it. Okay, don't worry, just calm down. I'll show you how to use them. You will know how to use them. You will see it and you will know it, and you will buy it and you will use it on your own, and you will appreciate the reason for this lesson. What do you have here? 27 millimeter 27 millimeter white socket. 27 millimeter white socket. 27 millimeter white socket. 27 millimeter white socket, also known as, you see this one is short. We don't call this one long, it's short. The next we have here, the bigger board, is 30 millimeter socket, also known as 30. You see this one is longer, it's long. Okay, 30 millimeter white socket. 30 millimeter white socket. You see these two, this one is 32, like I said before. This one is 32, while this other one is 30. This other one is 30. See it written here, 30. See this one written here now, 32. This one is the white. Let me bring it this way, sorry. This one is the black. This one here is the white. The both of them, they are used to loosen bolt and nuts, but usually in automobile cars, you hardly find bolts and nuts as big as 32, but it's easily found in heavy duty cars, heavy duty vehicles, trucks. For cars, bolts as big as 32, you can find them on shaft heads. Shaft heads. I will show you, you will learn what a shaft head is, and I will bring bolts and nuts that these things can go into. I'll bring it for you to see. So this one, you can see now, you can name them now. Then there is a special one that is rare, and I'll tell you why it is rare. I'll tell you why this one is rare. It's not common. This one is 14, and you see it's white. It's a socket, but it's different from, you can see the head is different from the other ones. It's different. We call this one 14 white star socket. Star, you can see the head, it looks like a star shape. We call it 14 white star socket. 14 white star socket. There are some bolts and nuts that car manufacturers, let me open it up, that car manufacturers wouldn't want any technician or any person to tamper with. They don't want anybody to, you can go every other place, you can touch every other things, but this place, don't touch it. They usually use this type of star socket bolts and nuts to tighten them up. You can easily lay your hands on something like this. You can easily lay your hands on something like this, but for this, it is rare. You can't easily find it in the market. There was an experience whereby I was looking for, you can see, you can count it. You can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 stars. But there is one that has only 5 stars. One side is out, and they use it to secure a boat. I looked for it, I couldn't get it in the market, because the part I was to work on is a part whereby the manufacturer of the car and all that, they secured, and they didn't want anybody to tamper with it. So they have to use bolts and nuts like this to secure it, so you don't go about tampering it easily. So you can't easily find those things, those sockets in the market. So that is why it is difficult. Some technicians may find it difficult seeing this in my hand, but it's really available. They know what I'm talking about. This is 14 white star socket. 14 white star socket. Why this one here is 18 white star socket. Are you seeing it? 18 white star socket. You're seeing it now. Okay. So far so good. So far so good. I believe you have learned something. You have learned something. You have learned something, and I am happy that you have. I'm glad that you have. This is the basic. Just you can watch. You have the opportunity, watch the video over and over again, and then basic knowledge will sink down. Then you can follow through with us. Thank you very much.